It's music news time. It's October 7th, 2020. I'm Nico, and this is nico.radio. Around the world, around the board, quarter two has not been pretty for any market, any industry. But since the start of quarantine worldwide, right around March 2020, you've seen that music streaming has been declining. That's because music is a tool. I'm sure you're one of the many people that uses Spotify on your commute to work, school, listening while you're cooking. These are all moments in your life when you're moving around, being productive. And as we're asked to stay inside and be dormant, it's not quite the best scenario for music. You can use as many metrics as you want to gauge how music streaming is doing, but to the streaming companies like Spotify and Apple Music, they're looking at their revenue from advertising and from subscribers. Spotify's boasting the most premium subscribers, and they've increased 27% in quarter two. For those making revenue in this time, releasing albums and getting streams, you're not gonna see a difference. From what I can see, the hype of music still hasn't disappeared. The hype for live concerts, on the other hand, has completely disappeared. Now, I might be one of the biggest Spotify critics in the world, but I think a great conversation is occurring in the music industry, specifically amongst artists. You're seeing disputes between Kanye West and Def Jam, specifically about record labels and the deals and contracts they associate with. But there's an interesting conversation occurring between the indie artists and legacy artists that don't release music anymore. They're taking aim at Spotify CEO Daniel Ek. In the summer of 2020, he had an interview where he blasted indie and small artists, saying that if you want to make more money as a career in music, you just need to release more music. That's legitimately commodification. He says he's doing everything he can to build a platform for more artists to reach that top tier status. Here in this article, he claims that it's no longer the top 40, it's the top 43,000. But to get there, it's nearly impossible without a record deal or a huge marketing campaign. Money that most artists don't have. So that's why today I'm going to be taking aim at Spotify as per usual. As artists are pretty much starting to give up in this industry due to small streaming royalties, Daniel Ek is dishing all that dough he could be giving to artists straight into startups. I will never stop saying that Spotify is not a music company. So of course, Daniel Ek only knows how to buy and spend, talk the conversations of startup and entrepreneurship, nothing with art and music. I don't know the guy. He probably does know a little bit of music, but he's not showing it. Being an entrepreneur and having a startup is almost like writing an album. But when you invest your capital into companies like that, specifically how a record label invests in an artist, you're looking solely to profit. Essentially, Daniel Ek is being the record label for these startups, investing in these up-and-coming tech companies, saying, hey, I want you to make me a return on my investment. So instead of investing in the one thing that makes Daniel Ek's platform run, artists, he turns his back on them and invests in more technology. Let me tell you where that technology is going, by the way. Spotify has a patent for personality tracking technology, and it's pretty creepy stuff. Thank you, Murray, for writing this. Geo-targeted advertising is part of this, using 3D audio, almost like you're walking down the street listening in your AirPods, and all of a sudden somebody's talking to you from the left or the right based on where you are. I love that they obfuscate this here, and they say it's methods and systems for personalizing user experience based on personality traits. A tech company knows so much about you. If you don't believe me, watch my recent video that I made on the social dilemma. It's a documentary on Netflix that talks about tech companies like Spotify harvesting your data and growth hacking to become these giant winners. So Spotify already has this data about us. They know our favorite genre. They know what mood we're in when we're listening to music based on our age, our demographics. Of course, with this information, they want to monetize it. That's what a tech business does. But there was a time when Spotify actually wanted to produce their own AI music. If this is their way of grading us as listeners and then grading music from the artists, I almost see this being part of their package deal to sell to record labels and artists that if you want the real data on what you should write next, hey, get it from us. So perhaps maybe when the next songwriter comes into the studio, they don't have to do the thinking. The record label says, hey, make sure you get a 10 in neuroticism, extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness. We're reverse engineering music now. So what purpose does music serve in our community? There's no original thought, there's no imagination that comes with the most creative parts of music making. If it's just going to get a grade at the end of the day by Spotify, they get to decide what songs are more popular or more relatable to people. I may sound like I'm wearing the tinfoil hat for Spotify, but This is serious stuff. So before I go Alex Jones crazy on Spotify, let's move on to what else they're doing in the industry. It looks like they are releasing a lyric search feature catching up to Apple Music. So ultimately they added a new feature in their search block that if you start typing in lyrics, it will automatically recognize the song. But let's all be honest here. Nothing's going to change our behavior that when we're listening to a song, we could go straight to Google and look it up. Not to mention that when we look up those lyrics, a YouTube video is usually the first block to appear. And maybe with a 5-second ad, we can listen to that song for free. So I get it, copy and paste, trying to be the other business, beat them to their own game, but I don't see how this is gonna be a competitive advantage in the long run. They're not going to gain subscribers from adding a lyric search feature. And that's especially true because of Apple. When you hear a song and you might not have caught the lyrics, you could just ask your iPhone, hey, what song is this? Because Apple owns Shazam, they're gonna do the research for you. Apple's really striving for vertical integration and trying to get all of their users into the same ecosystem. Apple Music is included in every single bundle of Apple One, and they start at $9.99. Already, you are getting a superior product at Apple versus Spotify. Now, in the growing days of Spotify, people were telling Microsoft to be a part of this so that they could incorporate a device with it, but you're not seeing that happen. Apple owns the device market, and of course they own the Apple ecosystem of apps, streaming services. They own their customers. A major step towards that was just announced this week that they're going to stop selling Bose, Sonos, Logitech, other brands of headphones, any audio related equipment. It seems as though since AirPods really took off, they knew to attack the audio market, and even with the HomePod, there's so much potential there. So they've cut off their competitors and said, we want our Apple users to use one device to listen to music, and that's the AirPods or HomePod. In my opinion, Bose or Sonos might have the better and superior product, but it's not as convenient and not as cheap than getting it straight from Apple. That's why people buy into AirPods. So understand that when Apple does something new or releases a new product, it's all to build their ecosystem. You have an iPhone, you have to have AirPods so that you can listen to your Apple Music subscription while checking your iCloud for email and blah, 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 whatever it is, it has to be an Apple product. We'll see if this pays off for them. I'm excited to see the new iPhone and if it has any new features for music. Any aspiring artist should be looking for a new platform to put their music, and while I've already despised and hated on all of our big tech corporations like Apple and Spotify, I have some hope and I look for new blooming companies in the streaming industry. I know of a couple in the works from other countries and different names, but this is a cool one here. Giddy is proposing a more collaborative streaming service. The pandemic has brought a lot of opportunities for tech to connect one another from different households, and we're seeing how entertainment has become a part of that as well. Maybe you've been on a Zoom call where you've watched a movie together, or maybe you've tuned into a new streaming platform like Twitch or Netflix over the quarantine. Giddy is almost like a widget or a toy for your streaming service if it had one. Giddy is like a DJ for the different hours of the day. If in the morning you're feeling like you need to be pumped up for a morning jog, they might play different music for that style. If at night you want to be relaxed and maybe play something smoother, it'll know what to play and build a playlist around the hours of the day. Assuming they get the rights to all the songs they need to from all the major labels, this could be a major player and introduce a new theme in the streaming market. And if the product to the customer isn't drastically different, we might as well find the one that's the most fun or most meets our needs. Right now, Spotify playlists are a great way to discover new songs, but they're not really fun or informative. So maybe we'll see these startup and tech companies in streaming grow some guts and say, hey, you know what? We can take some of Spotify's share. I know we can because our product is different. And finally, we're gonna speed through these ones. Bonnaroo is postponed for the third time to September 2021. Now, Bonnaroo thrives, of course, on that one weekend in June where they bring all of the people, all of the vendors, all of the artists, everyone included in one weekend to receive a lot of exposure, a lot of money. And to keep wishing that things are gonna get better and there's going to be a time to have another Bonnaroo, it's pretty unlikely. So the organizers at Bonnaroo need to pivot. They need to find some new way to engage their fans and receive that same income. I'm here to tell you that that will not happen and people will lose exposure, money, and their careers from this cancellation. Fans are pretty split on this. They're not sure if they want to even attend Bonnaroo this year based on this, or they're seeing what they can do as an alternative. You know that this is a big weekend for smaller artists, the ones that maybe play the 2 to 4 p.m. sets. But a very big theme in 2020 is forcing business people, non-scientists, to face the science. And they're all being uber positive for something quite negative known as the COVID-19 pandemic. If they think they're going to be able to modify their product, concerts, to fit and scale, it's not going to happen in the time of quarantine and pandemic. We can only hope and pray that the artists, the vendors, the managers, the teams that operate all of these concerts recover and stay mentally strong through these times. I see Bonnaroo coming back in not 1 year, but 2 years. I'll probably be wrong. At a scale of normal Bonnaroo, yes, certainly 2 or 3 years. But maybe next year they'll come together and build a smaller Bonnaroo or virtual or something. They have to pivot if they want to survive. Artists are pivoting too, and that's a great time to pivot to Ava Max's Roblox concert. I don't know if you've ever heard of Roblox, but they brought in 1.2 million viewers to a virtual concert. Ava Max just released her new album, Heaven and Hell, and she wanted to reach a new audience with this one. So following the Fortnite model that we spoke of a few weeks ago, of course, Ava Max and Roblox teamed up to build their virtual concert stage. So in the game, they had a virtual stage, a virtual dance floor where players got together. She reached over 1 million people, but the highest peak of concurrent viewers was at 166,000. In real life, you can't even reach that many people at once. Players in the game could purchase Ava Max merchandise from a small booth. And to give you an idea about how much money Roblox has in its earnings and amongst its users, well, here's their chart. In the third quarter of 2019, they amassed $143 million in player spendings. Some artists are lucky if they make that on a tour or even from merch or in their whole career. Someone like Ava Max, who's trying to propel in this industry and become someone bigger than who she is, this is a great step towards doing that. And I'll admit, ever since Travis Scott and Marshmello had their concerts in Fortnite, you've seen the gaming industry speak of those characters pretty much all the time. They might be 12 or 13-year-olds playing games 24/7, not having the talent to make the music, but certainly having the talent to play games. Their strongest talent is asking mom or dad if they can borrow the credit card to listen and buy Ava Max's new album. I think this is a phenomenal play that all artists should be looking into now. And I'm certain that the record labels are going to see this trend and they're going to take over before any of us indie artists can get to it. So I can't stress this enough. If you're an indie artist out there looking to get your music in some video games, start small. We watched a game like Among Us the past 3 months go from 14 players to 1.4 million in the matter of 1 month. If your music was in that video game, you'd be a really happy person right now. This channel is a new project for me. I'm doing exactly what Ava Max and Spotify and all of those people that we talked about today, I'm doing exactly what they're doing, trying something new and hoping that people latch on. This channel's variety, about all relating back to music some way, somehow. So whether I'm playing video games, hosting virtual open mics, or doing music news here, I try to help you become a better artist, a better gamer, a better person, whoever it is. I'm trying to help you achieve your goals. So if you have an idea for a video, please drop it down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and let me know if you like this video. I'd love to know how I can make your life better through this content. Love you all. Put some hearts in the comments if you have nothing to say at all, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.